Hello ninjas, how's everyone going today? Welcome to the Coded Dojo. As always, we're going to just give it just a few minutes, maybe 5 or so, just so that everyone's got a bit of time to arrive before we start what we're doing today, which is Pokemon Part 2. I've also had a special request from Blake to do a remix of, or to show how to sort of manage multiple levels in the breakout game we've been working on. So we'll have to see if Blake's here. And so we might do this at the end, just to sort of give you an idea of how to add multiple levels to the breakout game. We'll see how we go anyway. How's it going, AD and AJ? I missed you on Tuesday for Pokemon. What I'll do is, here is Pokemon part. This is up what we're up to today. It'll say part 2, but this is part 2 today. So, if you didn't have a chance to go through on Tuesday to make your own Pokemon Part 1, just follow along with this one, and that should be fine. How have you been keeping? Had a good week so far? And does anyone have any games for me to play? Because I wanted to start off with this breakout game. Let's just play this for a bit. If anyone's got any games for me to play, just say so in chat. Whoop. Oh, this is tough. This is a tough one. Well, that's cool. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. So, yeah, Blake was asking me over Scratch how we could add additional levels. So that, there's a level 1, a level 2, that kind of thing. Oh, missed it. Blake was looking at adding in a sprite that went across the screen to figure out if there were any blocks left. But there's an easier way of doing it with variables. Hey, how's it going, Falcon Fab Lab Coded Dojo? Lovely to have you here. The Mother's Day quest that you made. All right, let's try this. So it should be on Yo-Yo Cake. Okay, let's have a look-see. Is it the quest of the... Oh, I see. All right, let's give this a try. So you made this for Mother's Day, did you? All right, so this is a quest I made my mum do on Mother's Day. Do you wish to go on a quest to receive a gift? I'm going to say yes. Go outside and defeat the wizard, then go forward to find the sand monsters, then go into the shed and you shall get your gift. That's cool. Oh, what about if I chose no? Then you shall not get your gift. Ha 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 ha. Hello, kitten. Oh, there's something else here. Okay, there's more. Oh, I see. There's a secret code. Right. So, if we click there, and then we press M, the secret code is Mother. Open the gift. Happy Mother's Day. Oh, that's nice. That's very cool. So presumably, as part of the quest, you had to did that like tell her, oh, you've got to press M and the secret code is mother? That is pretty cool. I like that a lot. We have cat in the stream. Cat stream has been achieved. Cat emojis in the stream, please. In the chat, please. Oh, you're smoochy today. Are you detecting the cat purrs? Good luck. Let's look at some of these backdrops. Before you go, take this pickaxe as a weapon to defeat the wizard and sand monster. Oh, so I didn't wait for long enough. Disclaimer, if you want to find out of this quest, then act it out here. If you don't... A lot of different things. I like the font you've got here. Is this a Scratch font? I think there is a Scratch pixel font, isn't there? But this is a nice font. I like this font. You were at Rockingham. What were you doing? You having fun at Rockingham? So just to show you guys, while we're giving a bit of time for people to arrive. Oh, there's fur all over my keyboard now. All right, kitten, we've got to do some coding now. Down we go. So our Pokemon game so far, we have a world state. And if you walk around, and if you go up against the tree, then after a certain amount of time of walking, touching the tree, it'll go into the battle state. There's currently nothing in the battle state, but we've got our world state. Now we've done some simple controls, and we've used functions, otherwise known as mind blocks, to basically keep track of things. So the code's pretty simple, and you can see that it's been broken down into control player and check for long grass. So we've got this forever. If the game state is world, then run control player, which is all of this, which looks like a lot, but it's basically 4 different directional controls. And inside each of the 4 different directional controls, it checks for long grass. So if you have played the Pokemon game before, then the idea is that the Pokemon are in the long grass. So if you walk inside the long grass after a certain number of steps, and it's always slightly random, then it will trigger a battle with the Pokemon. Now we have a random number generator here. It's currently set to pick random 1 to 300 every time we move, touching the long grass. And then if we got less than 3, so 2 or 1, then set game state to battle. And this is kind of useful. We've done pick randoms before, but we've used equals. This is way more nuanced. So if you want the battles to take a lot longer, then all you need to do is increase the second number in the pick random. So change pick random from 1 to 300 to 1 to 500, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 10,000, and you can kind of create specific probabilities that you like. This is still just it running a probability, like a dice roll every sort of, I think, every pixel it moves, maybe it probably runs it multiple times a second. I think maybe about 30 times a second. There are other ways of doing this that might be a bit better. So you could use a variable to keep track of how long you've been walking in the long grass before you trigger the battle. All right. Blake isn't here. Well, we might not get to doing the breakout thing that he requested. Just one thing I want to mention now. I'll probably mention this at the end as well. But one thing is that I mentioned on Tuesday was that so our libraries are going to be reopening on Monday, Likely. They'll be reopening next week anyway. That's the more or less the plan. Obviously, wait for the official word on that. But there's going to be strict restrictions on how many people can go to the library. If you cannot have any more than 20 people inside, we've got to maintain social distancing, that kind of thing. So I'm going to keep running the Coder Dojos through YouTube for now, just because it's too hard to get people into the Coder Dojos in the libraries. So these are going to continue for now. Libraries will be reopening, we'll see how we'll keep going with these, and we'll see how it goes. The other thing is as well is I'm going to switch all of the Coder Dojo sessions to start at 4 p.m. from here on out, because I think that just is a bit easier for everyone to get to, especially if everyone's coming home from school. So back when we used to always have the Coder Dojo at 3:30, and that made sense when you were coming to the library from school. And it also made sense because it didn't matter if you were late to the Coder Dojo, whereas coming to these like coding lessons, you miss stuff and it makes it hard. So from here on out, we'll be doing these at 4 p.m. I'll mention it again at the end, but you'll see it in the live streams when I create the new streams for next week. All right, well, I think we might be able to make a start. Everyone's been here before, so I don't need to go over the rules. If anyone gets stuck, just let me know. Make sure that your project is published and saved, and just type into chat. That's everything. All right, so I've given you a bit of a rundown of what this code does. We don't really have much code in, and then our other 3 sprites, they only have very minimal code. So we've got the trees, the player battle, so you should have player world and player battle, and the enemy. So the player battle and the enemy are what happens when the battle starts, and if you've played Pokemon, this will look pretty familiar to you, with a big Pokemon in the bottom left corner, that's your Pokemon, and the enemy Pokemon in the top right corner, that's the enemy Pokemon. And if you want, I've made them both cats, the player world and the player battle, but you can have that completely different. Feel free to change what these look like. So the only other, so basically each of these has code that says, so there's a variable we've made called the game state. The game state is set to either the word battle or the word world. And that basically, each of the sprites is forever checking the game state and either hiding or showing depending on what game state it is. And in fact, you'll notice in the player world code, this control player code, all of this doesn't even run if the game state is not in world mode. It doesn't let you control the player. This doesn't happen if the game state is in the world mode. So this is how you actually can turn things. You can turn bits of code off this way, which is really useful, so that you can go into the battle and you're not still controlling the world player when you're like making controls and that kind of thing. Oh yes, Falcon Fab Lab. Obviously, it's not for certain that the libraries are opening next week, but what I've heard is that we're preparing to open next week, as far as I'm aware. But obviously, City of Swan Libraries will send out a message when that's official. The guidelines are from the government come into play next Monday, so a bunch of things might be changing, but it all depends if everyone's ready to, like, with all the new safety requirements on Monday. So yeah, don't take my word, just even for City of Swan Libraries. I only know roughly what's happening. City of Swan Libraries will make an official announcement for that. But I only bring it up because I want you to know that these Coder Dojo sessions will continue on YouTube for now. All right, so, well, let's do some coding. I've broken down what this does, which if you were here on Tuesday, it might be nice to have the reminder. For AD and AJ, hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea of what all this code does, and hopefully you've had a bit of time to maybe change some of the things like the sprites and such. If you haven't, that's fine. What we're going to do, and let me just bring up this here. Oh, all right. I'm just checking my messages on Scratch. Blake is here, but he's not able to talk in chat. All right. Good to have you here, Blake. Very nice. That's cool. I will try. I'll keep an eye on my Scratch messages as well, Blake. So send me a Scratch message. I can't promise that I'll see it in time, but I will try and keep an eye. I will try and keep an eye on things for you. I'll keep an eye on your Pokemon. With that in mind, I'm just going to bring up my notes. Okay. All right, so let's start off with some simple stuff. Let's make it so that we can change the backdrop when we're in battle. So let's go to... Oh! Blake, you're here! You're in the chat. Lovely. I'm glad. All right. So at the end of the session, we might have enough time for me to go through the breakout thing for you, Blake. You might have seen that already. All right, let's get straight into this, guys. So let's go to backdrops. And let's put let's choose a backdrop for our Pokemon battle. So bottom right corner, click on choose a backdrop. Now, I quite liked, is it forest? I quite liked forest. I think jungle would work as well, but I think I quite liked forest. So what we need is so I'm going to rename this backdrop as battle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, I'm going to make a sort of dark green colored in backdrop. Like this, but you don't have to do this. So I'm going to have this be the world. So we should have the world backdrop and the battle backdrop. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some code into our backdrops. I don't know if I call it a sprite. I'm going to put some code into sometimes it's called the stage as well. I usually call it backdrops, but yeah, the stage. I don't often put code into the stage. I like to keep code in sprites, but in this case, we're going to put the code into the stage. You can put code into the stage if it's a good place to keep some code, especially if it's code that doesn't really relate to any of the sprites, and you want like a nice place to refer to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a when green flag clicked from the events category, the yellow section on the left, and we are going to grab a forever, and then we are going to get, I guess, two ifs. We could do an if, then else, which we've done with other things. That would probably work as well, but just for now, I'm just going to make two ifs, just to get us into the spirit of maybe keeping track that we might actually have other game states than world and battle, maybe in the future. So we're going to grab an equals to go into each of these ifs. So you go to operators and you look for this equals operator. So it'll be a space and then equals 50. Put it into both of those ifs. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to check to see what the game state is. So we're going to check to see game state and check to see game state. So what are the two different values for each of these two ifs that we should be putting in? What should I write instead of 50 here on this first if, and what should I write instead of 50 on the second if? Write your answers in chat now. Give you a bit of time to do that. Now there are different ways of doing this as well. But this is the way we've done it with some of our other code. So I think this is a good way of doing it. All right. The first thing we need to ask is the game state world? Is the game state battle? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to looks, and we're going to get switch backdrop. You'll notice that when we're in looks, there's a lot of things not there, like you can't do things like movement, not movement, because that's in motion. And in fact, you'll notice there's nothing in motion because your backdrop never moves; it stays where it is. But you'll notice there's some stuff that you were used to seeing in looks that's not there because the sprites have stuff that only sprites can do and the backdrop can't. Yep, world and battle. Very good, very good. So we're going to switch backdrop to world if the game state equals world, and switch backdrop to battle if the game state equals battle. All right, let's test that. There we go. All right. So that's something nice and easy. Let's do something else fairly straightforward. Let's go to our trees sprite, and let's create some code that just makes our trees in a little grid. So what we need to do is we're gonna set these up to work as clones. So we're gonna grab this forever. We're gonna pull it off, and we're going to go to events. This is all in the trees sprite. And we're going to get when I start as clone, because we're going to have multiple trees. What we're going to do now is we're going to make just a grid of trees. But bear in mind that when you're building your map for your Pokemon game, you can calculate these trees differently. Like you can set them up differently. We're going to make a simple grid, but there's ways of doing this. But this once if you want to take this game further, then we can do more sophisticated stuff when we're generating trees. So once we've done that, while we've got when I start as clone on top of the forever, what we're going to do is we're going to make the tree go to the top left corner. Let's just say let's get this tree. Let's make it a bit smaller. Let's set the size to 50. That might be fine. I'm just going to hide these variables. If you make it a bit smaller, try 40. Okay, so let's get the tree to go to 180, x equals 180, and y, oh wait a second, no. That's odd. My go-to is making the tree go to an odd place. Normally this go-to updates, but it's not doing it. Anyway, don't worry about that. I'll just give you the numbers. So let's just say minus 200, and for the x value, and let's say 130 for the y value. And make sure that it goes to the top left corner. Now these are numbers you can change at any time. I'm just going to give you some numbers for example. And it might be a good idea as well if we were going to take this way further to eventually tie up some of these numbers with the variables, keeping track of how far we want our trees to be spaced, that kind of thing. You'll notice that Pokemon is set to a grid. And we could do something like that. We're not going to because it's going to keep things simple, but we could apportion out what our grid should look like and create all of our trees and make our player movement work according to this grid. I should say the older Pokemon games are based on a grid. The newer ones aren't. All right. So what we need to do is we're going to do some of the typical stuff. So with our clones, we're going to make the first clone, the original, hide. So we're going to put a hide underneath when green flag clicked. That's from the looks section, the purple one on the left. Then we're going to grab a show and put that underneath when I start as clone. Which is what we do for all of our clones usually. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a repeat. Put that underneath the go to X and Y. And we're going to make a repeat. Let's try repeat 6. And then inside this repeat, we're going to put another repeat. Make this repeat 8. We're going to grab a create clone of myself. We'll get that from control. Put that inside the repeat 8. And then we're going to do some code that's very similar to the code that we use for the bricks in our breakout game. We're going to basically make this tree go across a bunch of times and then go and each time it leaves behind a clone. So it's going to make this grid of trees. So we're going to get 8 across, 8 columns and 6 rows. So to make sure that we're moving each time for the columns, we're going to change X by, let's say 55. That's what I had before. I'm using a slightly different tree sprite for this one, so it's going to be a little bit different. We might want to adjust these numbers later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a go-to. And then we're going to get a change Y. So for now, make this change Y minus 55. Now this go-to, we're going to make the X minus 200. And then we're going to make the Y as Y position. So you get this from motion, you get Y position from the very bottom, and you put that inside the Y. Which means that when you go to X minus 200, Y, whatever your Y position already is, the Y position won't change. All right, let's hit go. I actually quite like that. So if you wanted to change this, we could change the size of it a little bit. 35. I actually think I like 40 better. But this is all down to your own personal preference. And that's a pretty good grid. There's maybe a bit of space on the right, so you could realign this a little bit if you wanted to. Change some of these numbers. I recommend you have a bit of a play around with these numbers so that you understand exactly what this is doing. But hopefully everyone's got this grid working. So now, when we start our game, everywhere we go is pretty much touching a tree. And eventually we should start a battle. There we go. All right. Now, we could do something a bit interesting. We could maintain, for example, lists or different sections of code that generated trees in different patterns for different screens that we were on that would allow us to go to the left of the screen and then go off onto like the next screen. And then we could create like a real kind of adventure world, kind of a bit like a sort of Zelda kind of game. So yeah, just bear that in mind. But what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on making the battle code work. All right, so hopefully everyone's keeping up. Let me know if you're getting stuck. I haven't heard from Blake in a while in the chat. I'm just going to double check my Scratch. What's the word? Messages. Oh, no messages, so I'm going to assume you're okay, Blake. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create some new sprites. These sprites are going to be the buttons that appear when we're in the battle mode. Okay? So we're going to draw these. So we can take a bit of a break from the coding to do a bit of art. Oh, good. Blake's still here in the chat. I am glad to see it. So we're going to do some art here. So first of all, let's make a... Hey, Henry! How's it going, Henry? All right, Henry. I don't know when you got here, but if you got here just now, just click on that. Let me save it. And you should be able to click Remix and continue along with us. All right, Henry? Sweet. Good to have you here. All right, so let's do some buttons. So I'm going to make my first button yellow. So I'll show you the buttons that I've made. You can make some different buttons if you like. I'll just bring this across briefly so you guys can see. So I've got these 4 buttons: lightning, heal, fury, and run. And these could be changed later, so don't stress too much. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these 4 buttons. And you can make different buttons if you want, and then we can figure out how to code the various things that you'd like to do. If you have some like favorite Pokemon moves that you'd like to recreate, we can probably do it. Can't guarantee it, because some of the Pokemon moves are fairly complicated, would be complicated to code, but we can always give it a try. So I'm going to make my lightning button first. We get a nice yellow here. It's like a little too green, that yellow. Come on. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so I want these buttons to like nicely fill up the bottom right corner of the screen. So I don't want them to be too massive. Hello, kitten. I think that might be good. I'm just gonna duplicate these just so I can see how they look roughly. I'm going to change this a little bit, but I think I'm going to be pretty happy with those buttons. Come on, trigger a battle. Yeah, those buttons are pretty good. I like this size for buttons. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the X and Y of these buttons so they are a little bit more lined up. Let's try X. Actually, it's going to be hard because they all look identical. So I'm just going to give them names and first do the art on them before I start messing around with where they are. So I'm going to call one lightning, one heal, one is Fury, and one is Run. Okay, let's get the text in there. I might even try and do like Thundershock. Uh-oh, should make this text black. That's a classic Pokemon move. Oh, it's a bit too big. I'll just name it Lightning. Lightning. That way the Pokemon police won't come for me. You have violated our copyright. I was actually worried calling this a Pokemon game. I was like, ooh. Nintendo do get awfully, like, you know, they don't mess around with their copyright, does Nintendo? They get real upset. Now, the other thing that I think you guys already know. Oh, you got here at the start, Henry? Perfect. Glad to hear it. So the other thing as well is if you select the boxes that you duplicated to make these other buttons, you can change the color fairly easily without having to change anything else. Oh, let's use the pixel font. Yeah, that's great. Now, one thing that you could do if you wanted was put the text in first. There we go, Lightning. Oh, this font is very wide. You could put the text in first, and then copy paste all the different buttons, and then that way your text will be the same size because you can select the text and change the text. Kind of like if I do this, I could like select the text, call this Fury, and it's actually the exact same size, which kind of makes the whole thing look nice and consistent. Let's change this fill to red. And now you've got these two buttons. They actually don't even look the same size. So maybe it's not even worth it. Don't worry about it. Never mind. Get rid of this Fury. I'm going to move some of these around as well. Lightning, heal. Definitely do want to shrink this down a bit though. This text is too big. I'll just eyeball it for now. It might be that it's the same size as the Lightning text, but what's important is how it looks. Let's change heal to blue. I know I'm not giving you a lot of specific information here, but I assume that you guys know how to do some of this art stuff, and you can see me doing it. Let's make run red. And as I said before, you don't have to be doing exactly the same thing as me. That is fine. Although something approximating these options would be good. You should definitely have a run ability, because you need a nice, easy way of getting out of the battles again. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change manually some of these values. Let's say -80. And so you can very easily kind of try and line things up by typing in these buttons. I think are a bit too... It's all right. My buttons aren't looking super nice because they're probably a bit too tall. I should make them a little more squashed, but I'm not going to do that now. I can fix that later. The graphics, the nice thing about graphics in Scratch is it's very easy to change graphics later. It's much harder to change code later. Like the number of times that ninjas have deleted a sprite because they didn't want that particular sprite to be there anymore, and then said, all right, now I just have to remake all of the code in this new sprite. And I'm like, you could have just changed how the sprite looked, and that would have been way easier. Obviously, that's that's usually most ninjas don't do that once they're a bit more experienced. Okay, so let's change this to just the same. We'll try minus 80 for the Y there. Let's try 150, make them a bit closer. And so that way I'll make X 150 for run as well. And what's Fury's Y at? Minus 145, minus 145. All right, cool. So if you want to know what the, so you can just move them around until you're happy with them. I've just chosen I've done some numbers so they're nicely lined up. But I've got the button in the top left is at X10, Y minus 80. Heel is also Y minus 80 because they're on the same row. And X 150. So like the second row, the Y is minus 145. And and so let's see, Fury is at X10, Run is at X 150. So if you just sort of copy paste the numbers around between those four buttons, you'll end up with them all being nicely lined up. But if they're not lined up, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't change the way the code works, and you can always fix that later. All right, so hopefully everyone is doing okay with all this art stuff. We are almost ready to move on to the code. This run is too big. I need to change this down a bit. All right. Seems good. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to make sure that this code only shows when we're in battle. Now, we already have this code. Where is this code? Write your answers in chat. We already have the code for these buttons not appearing on the world map, only appearing during battle. So let me know where is the code? It's actually in two places. There's a clue for you. Write it into chat. All right. One of the places we have this code is in player battle, and the other place that we have this code is in enemy. So let's just copy this code. The easiest way of doing that is to going into player battle. Get the one from player battle, because enemy does a thing in my code where I have the enemy has flipped sides. Look, this rotation style and pointing direction. We don't want that. So go into player battle and grab the when green flag clicked, drag it all the way over on top of the other sprites, and then drag it so that your mouse goes right over the button, like lightning, for example. So your mouse is right over it, and then let go. You'll notice that your code goes back to the middle of the screen. But now if you look in Lightning, it also has the same code. So let's do that again. Let's drag it to the other three buttons. So if you were using a typed code, you could just Control-C, Control-V, copy, paste. There's no reason to type things out multiple times. Even better, you can use functions to refer to the same code again and again, but we can't do that with different sprites here. So yeah, always work smart when you're coding. Don't make things harder for yourself than they need to be. All right, so now let's test. Let's hit go, And our buttons should have disappeared, and they appear when we're in the battle. That seems good. So they don't do anything though. Also, you might want to make it so that when you click on them, they don't move around. So there's an easy way of doing that in the code, I think. But it's actually not super important. The other thing that you could do as well is, in fact, yeah, let's do this. Let's get them all nicely lined up, and let's make it so that when the game starts, they go to where we want them to go. Yep, that seems fine. I like that. Now, hopefully... maybe we need to click back on motion. This is so weird. These go-tos normally line up with where they are right now, but it's not doing it. I find that so strange. Well, we'll just have to manually change that. So look at where, once you've got it lined up and you see the X value and the Y value, just type the same thing into a line from motion, which is go to. We want to make sure that it's go to. So I've got, like, for my lightning, which is the top left, I've got go to X equals 10 and Y equals minus 80. Grab that and put it underneath when green flag clicked. Then we're going to do the same thing for the other three. So remember how coordinates work? Which way is left and right in coordinates? Is it X or is it Y? Write your answers in chat. If you don't understand this, let me know in the chat, and I shall explain it to you. And this is also not super important to the code. This is just making sure our buttons are neat. So if you want to skip this step, that's fine. But now, there should be now code in each of your 4 buttons if you followed along with me. Well, that's strange. Oh, have I made them go somewhere weird? I think I've made them go underneath the other ones, haven't I? Yeah, I have. Yeah, look. I accidentally made them all go to the same place. I was looking at the wrong thing. That's all right, I can fix that. If you run into that problem, you know why. You put your coordinates in wrong. This needs to be 10. Y needs to be minus 45, I think. That's what I said. Y needs to be minus 45. X needs to be minus 150. That's it. All right, so now when we start it, come on, trigger a battle. Trigger a battle. Come on, come on. This is the problem with the random number generator. It's unpredictable. Which is fine most of the time, but occasionally, there we go, that took ages. All right, they seem to be nicely lined up. They seem fine. Yeah, cool, good. All right. So, that's probably more time than we needed to spend just making our buttons all nicely line up. But now we get to the interesting stuff. You just made the power-ups the same sprite. Okay. All right, Blake. Power-ups. Are you talking about the Pokemon game, or are you doing Breakout at the moment? Anyway, let's get back to this. So now what we need to do, so UJ's original code for this was quite sophisticated because it allowed you to move an arrow around using keyboard controls. I'm just going to do something way lazier. I'm just going to make it so that you click on the one that you want to do. You just click on the button. So let's do that. We've got the code that makes it so that we run away. We've got the code that makes it so that the buttons work and appear and disappear. What we need to do now is we need to start making the code that does the 4 attacks. So the easiest one should be run. So let's go to run. Let's grab a event. So we go to events and we grab when this sprite clicked. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something very simple. Set game state to world. And I'm just going to move my run. So yes, you just need this code. When this sprite clicked, set game state to world. So let's test this out. And this should be under your run button. So if we click run, we run away. All right, seems good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make some variables. Okay? Let's make some variables for, I'm going to rename this as well. Fury, good. Let's make some variables. So we need to make, all in all, let's start off with 4 variables. So we're going to make a variable called player HP. We're going to press OK, and we need to make sure that this variable is set for all sprites. So you need to make sure for all sprites is selected. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make another variable called enemy HP. So we're going to make quite a few of these. Let's keep making variables. Let's make a variable called player max HP. Let's make a variable called player attack. And let's make a variable enemy attack. Okay, so we've made 5 variables: player HP, enemy HP, player max HP, player attack, and enemy attack. So I'm just going to make sure you've got enough time to make all of those. The welcome sign! You didn't tell me earlier? We're nearly at the end, guys. I rely on you to remind me about the welcome sign. How could you let me down this way? I'm joking, guys. I just feel embarrassed because I've left the welcome sign up all this time. Well, that's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Oh well. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we've got our 5 variables. You guys keeping up with me? Player HP, enemy HP, player max HP. Max stands for maximum. HP stands for health points or hit points. And player attack, enemy attack. I'm hoping you guys have played games which have these concepts in, like your health points is the number of it takes until you lose, and you have like a maximum of them, that kind of thing. So let's do some stuff. Let's click on player HP. Right click on it, sorry. Right click on the variable in the top left corner, player HP, and click on large readout. So now it's just a nice little number. Nothing else. And let's do the same thing for enemy HP. Large readout. Let's move that about there. And let's play our game and, alright, cool. Let's move this to like here. Uh-oh. I'm going to make these numbers just underneath them. You can do some more you can do fancier stuff than this if you like. What we're going to do now is we are going to make it so that these variables we'll put this in the player battle code, I guess. We need to first set these variables. We'll put some of them in the player battle code, and we'll put some of it in the player enemy code. So you should have these 5 variables, and you've changed the player HP and enemy HP to large readouts and put them underneath. Because what we're going to do is we're going to make these variables show during the battles, but not during the world. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the player battle. We're going to set some variables. So grab the set variable to something. Grab 2 of those, 3 of those, in fact, and put them all underneath each other when green flag clicked. We need the first variable to set. Let's set the player attack. Let's set that to 10. The next one we need is player HP. Let's set that to 100. And the next thing we need is player max HP. Set that to 100. Okay, so we've got player attack is 10, player HP is 100, and player max HP is 100. I'll just make sure you've got that, because then we're going to go across and we're going to do 2 variables. Actually, no, first before that, we're going to forever, if game state equals battle, then show variable player HP. So this is going to be quite clever. So I'll leave this up again because I don't know, we haven't done much with showing and hiding variables. Showing and hiding variables is normally what we do with ticking and unticking these boxes in the top left corner, right? So we don't want to see what the enemy attack variable is. We untick the box and now it's invisible to us. And we always leave up the ones that we want that are that we do want visible, like score, speed, points, that kind of thing. And we haven't done much with turning them into large readouts either. So that's another cool thing that we can do. So we want the player max HP and player attack to be invisible. We want all of these to be invisible. But we want to make sure that when the battle is on, we show the variable player HP. So once we've done that, we've made all of our variables start off as not shown. We've got this code that sets 3 of our variables, and then we show player HP if game state equals battle. We're doing all of that in the player battle sprite. Let's go across to the enemy sprite. All right. Hopefully you guys are all okay still. So let's go across to the enemy sprite. Let's set the enemy attack to 10, and let's set. We're going to need to do this. We need to do this after when the green flag clicked. It needs to be before the forever. And let's set the enemy HP to 100. All right. So what we need to do then is we need to, again, show variable enemy HP, but inside the if the game state equals battle. We want to show that variable. We also need to hide the variables again. So, it's interesting. Yeah, so we also need to put in underneath the else, hide variable enemy HP to make sure that it goes away if the game state is not the battle game state. And then let's go and do the same thing in the player battle. You guys still with me? Let's hide variable player HP. So now, what you should have is a game that starts off with no variables being visible. You move around these trees, and then it shows you two variables. And you can see there's a nice 100 here and a nice 100 there. Okay? And if you click run, you can get back to the world screen. Now, I think we have enough time just to do one of the attacks. And we're not going to have time to do the turn order. So what we can just do is go to lightning. Let's grab a when this sprite clicked, and let's get an, we can just do something nice and simple. We can just change enemy HP by, let's get, oh yeah, so when this sprite clicked, change enemy HP, so again for our variable, then we go to operators, we're going to get a something minus something, put it inside the change enemy HP, then let's put a 0 in the first socket of that operator, and it's going to be minus player attack. So you might be thinking, why have we changed why have we put the player attack as a variable? And that's because in Pokemon, you get moves that can make your attack go up and your attack go down. So I'm just going to zoom in on this code so you guys can see it. We just need, this is going to be lightning for me. When this sprite clicked, change enemy HP by, and then we need the operator 0 minus player attack. Which seems a bit weird, 0 minus player attack, but it's basically just a way of saying minus player attack. In most coding, you would just put minus, but obviously Scratch is a bit different. So now, if you click lightning, it makes that go down. Nice and simple. Now, all we need to do now, and we're going to do this in lesson 3, is maybe make some cool effects, some cool, and we also need to make it so that it is either your turn or not your turn. So, yeah, so the buttons like disappear when it's not your turn, so the enemy can attack you. So that it's like if you played Pokemon, you don't get to just keep clicking to keep attacking. You have to do your attack, then you have to wait. Your opponent does their attack, and that kind of thing. Also, it's not very satisfying just to click and nothing to be visible, so we don't need to, but we're going to put a little bit of cool like animation. We have a little lightning bolt come out of scratch and hit the enemy, okay? But then if we start again, start a new battle, there we go, back up to 100. All right, so we've gotten our battle buttons in. We've gotten our trees spawning all over the map. So that's enough for today, I think. So yeah, how did you guys go with that? Post in chat if your Pokemon game is ready to go. If you need some help, if something's not working, then let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you. I'm trying to think if I have enough time to do some. No. Let's. Because Blake, you were asking for some help with the breakout to maybe make new levels. Yeah, I might try and do this a bit later. Send you the remix, or else I might try and do it for the beginning of next session. Just show you some of the code that I put together. Because there's actually a really easy way of doing this, Blake. I don't know if you were here earlier when I was explaining, but we already have code that makes clones of the blocks, which means we can create a variable that keeps track of how many blocks we have, just like we have a variable to keep track of how many bouncy balls we have in our breakout game, right? And if you ever go below a certain number, you lose the game. So you can just do the exact same thing for blocks. So just have, whenever you create a clone of the block, you have a variable called blocks, increase that variable by 1, and have somewhere in a forever code, so maybe in the paddle code, anywhere there's a forever block that won't be interrupted by other things, have a check that runs to see if you've run out of blocks, in which case then you can make that broadcast new blocks and start the level again. The other thing you might want to do is make a variable to keep track of what level you're on and make it so that you get more blocks when you get to higher levels. You don't have to do it, but that's a thing that you could do. Alrighty, so let's have a look at yo-yo cakes. I want to go to, what about project page? Yeah, there we go. Yo-yo cake. Alrighty, let's have a look at your Pokemon project. So yeah, Blake, see if you can have a bit of a go with that. If you, and then next week, if you're still having troubles with trying to make new levels that way, as I described, then let me know in chat, and we'll take it from there. All right, Catman maybe? Oh no, Scratch Cat Adventure. Cool. Nice. Cool, this all works. Nice, if I say run, we run away, good. If I say lightning, yeah, perfect. Perfect, really nice. Very good, very good. So yeah, if you want as well, in between this session and next session, see if you can figure out maybe what heal could do. Maybe make your HP go up. All right. Have a bit of an experiment with it. Let's have a look at 09 Infamous. Pokemon. Alrighty, let's go. Oh, we have a big Pokemon. A big Pokemon. Nice. Alright, if we run, yeah, that works, that's good. If we lightning, perfect. That's good, perfect. One thing I would say, Blake, is you could just put player world. Oh, okay, so one thing, although maybe you're happy with that. Maybe you want the Pokemon to be behind the trees. Maybe that's fine. Maybe that's what you want. No problems. I'd make the player world a little bit smaller. That's one thing I would do. All right. Yes, we don't have anything that resets between battles yet, do we? But we can do that for next session. All right. Inches 1 pen game. Let's check that out. Let's go to Scratch. Inches 1. Pen game. Let's have a look. Pen game. Is it draw on famous people? What? Or do I have to... What about next slide? Change pen size, reset. Maybe this one might not be ready just yet. Set when, erase all, go to mouse pointer, point towards mouse pointer. Set pen color. How do I pen down? Yes, I think the only thing you need, right, for this one, although this one, I don't think this is the one you were asking me to look at, so this one's probably not just yet finished. But if you do want to know how to get the pen working, what you need is you need pen down. You need like a button that makes the pen go down, or to click maybe. The pen goes down. You say it, and then you can also have something kind of cool whereby, like, you could have something that says, forever, if the mouse is clicked, pen down, else pen up. That could work. I'm just going to have a double check on your... Got Pokemon here. I'm going to check out your Pokemon game. Very nice, very nice. Oh, that's the other thing I meant to do. Let's go back. I think I've already liked your Pokemon game. I have, so I need to go to Yo-Yo Cake and like his. All right. Well, Maze is updated. That one's a long one. I might leave that one for today. But thank you for the offer. Scratch Cat Adventure by Yo-Yo Cake. Let's... This one. Dupe and dupe. Nice. Very nice indeed, guys. So, I'm just going to say what I said at the beginning. These are going to continue for now. I think libraries are opening soon. City of Swan libraries are opening soon, but because there's going to be probably restrictions on how many people can go inside at a time, it's going to be too hard to do Coder Dojos. So we're going to keep doing Coder Dojos through YouTube. The other thing is I'm going to do them from 4 p.m. from now on, because I think 3:30 is a bit early, especially, I don't know, what time does everyone finish school? Write into chat. I know some of you guys are homeschooled, but yeah, if you go to school, what time do you finish? I'm just curious, because I think it's sometimes hard to get back in time for this, especially if you'll need a snack and that kind of thing. So if I start these at 4 p.m., same days, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I think that'll be easier for everyone. So it'll be 4 p.m. And of course, if you get in at 3:30 p.m. and go, oh, it's at 4 p.m. now, well, now you've got half an hour to get a cup of tea or a snack or something so that you're ready to go when the coding starts. So that should be nice and easy. Ah, yes, Falcon Fab Lab. Let's do that. My stuff. Let's go to Studios. Projects. Infamous. Yo-Yo Cake. Hey, nice. Oh, this is a cool Pikachu. Oh, this is a very cool... I love pixel art Pikachus. Oh, this is good. Run. Very nice. Let's just get into battle again, and let's do some lighting. Haha! One thing you might need to do is just change the lightning, because currently it's taking away from, I think... Let's see inside. These variables might be... Large readout, normal readout. Ah, yeah, cool. You just need to swap these variables over. You need to move one to the other. That's all you need to do. Perfect. That is awesome. Once they're large readouts, sometimes it's easy to forget which ones they are. So no worries. That's cool. Just do a bit of a swap of those over. That is great. Yeah, I think that 4 p.m. will be a good time. Be a bit of time for everyone to just get home and chill for a bit. So from here on out, these will be at 4 p.m. We'll still go for the same amount of time, which means that we'll finish a little bit later, but we might have less time at the beginning when I'm waiting for people to arrive, because maybe people will just arrive a bit earlier, and that's great. We'll see how we go with that. We will adapt, because I'd like to make sure that when people arrive and they're like, oh no, you've already started, I'm like, oh, I like to try and make sure that there's enough time for people to arrive. All right, well, that is everything, guys. To let you know what's happening next week. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, from memory, I'm pretty sure it's going to go like this. Monday, we're going to do something a bit different. It's not coding related. We're going to do pixel art. We're going to make pixel art using a free website called Piskel. So I'm going to show, and I'm not very good at pixel art. I'm terrible at it, which means that my tutorial should hopefully be followable by everyone. I'm very bad at art in general, but hopefully I will be able to introduce you guys to Piskel, which is a really good fun piece of program which will allow you to make pixel art for your own games. I don't know if you guys like pixel art, but I really like it. It reminds me a lot of the games I used to play when I was like, oh god, your age, I guess. But there's also just something nice about it. It just looks nice. There's something cool about it. So we're going to do that on Monday, something a bit more relaxed than normal. So Piskel, using Piskel to make pixel art on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to make the Google Chrome dinosaur jumping game. So I might even get the art assets for that for everyone ready to go, so that we don't have to worry about art or using inbuilt graphics for that. I think that one will be a lot of fun. So we're going to make that. We're going to make the Google Chrome You Have No Internet dinosaur jumping game on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to go back to Pokemon, and we're going to start part 3 of Pokemon. And I don't know if we'll have a part 4. It depends how far we get through next Thursday. So, barring any last minute changes, that's what's going to happen next week. I'm just going to check chat one final time, and then we'll probably wrap up for the day. You updated your kitty clicker as well. Very nice, Blake. Alrighty. Well, let's do a quick a quick go of Blake's kitty clicker. As always, by the way, feel free to follow each other, give each other some likes and such, and play each other's games. Kitty clicker, kitty clicker, kitty clicker. This one. I've already played this one. This one is cool. All right. And there's some music to it. What do I need in the shop? 100 clicks? Okay. I'm not going to be able to do this for very long. All right. 100. Now we should have... Do we have an auto-clicker now? Oh, it upgrades the number of what your clicks do. Okay, that's an interesting take on it. Your clicks are now more powerful. It changes like your mouse power. That is interesting, actually. That is very cool. Like, if we have a look inside, do you have? I assume you have a variable for that. You've got a score, high score. Clicks. Is clicks the variable that makes your... Yeah, clicks is the number of clicks that your mouse has each time. Okay, that's a cool way of doing it. I like that, actually. You can see how just adding a few more variables can add a lot of depth to the game. Alright, that's cool. Well, everyone, go and have a play of this game if you want, and let's see what's the highest score someone can make, someone can get. Alrighty. Alright, so, yeah. So, thank you for coming and hanging out and doing some coding with me. I shall see you next Tuesday. Have a lovely weekend, guys. Be cool to each other. Stay safe. But yeah, until then, take care of yourselves, ninjas. We'll see you next time.